It's raining, it's pouring, the James Rose is snoring. He went to bed and punched me in the head. I couldn't get up in the morning. Oh dang, it started raining. The lightning in Hyrule tends to strike metal objects. You watch yourself if you go wandering around with a metal weapon. That's actually very good to know. Hey everybody, what's it here to you, and welcome back to Let's Play The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Before we continue onwards, I would like to say something real quick. So when I was recording footage for the Korok seeds of this region, this appeared where I was talking to this lady, and she gave me an elixir. So that's something that's pretty fun to know. Elixirs are going to be very important for moments that we haven't quite run into yet, but trust me, there are going to be times and places where an elixir is going to be very useful. So, in today's episode of Breath of the Wild, we are finally setting out to Hateno Village. We've heard a few things about that place here and there, but we've never actually seen it for ourselves. All we know so far is that it's that way somewhere, and Raisin, you're going the wrong way. All we know is that Hateno Village is over here in some direction, and it was apparently one of the very few places in Hyrule that was barely touched during the Great Calamity. Ah, there were churches right there. They wanted to attack my beautiful face. Alright, so a bit of a fun story. Over the years, I've done a lot of practice recordings for this game so that I'd be able to play through this game without having to worry about doing commentary or anything like that. Without having to worry about my flow of commentary. So, during those practice recordings, this is about as far as I've gone into actually recording the game, at least in terms of the story. I never really made it far past speaking to Impa in Kakariko Village. This is further than I've ever gotten on any of the practice runs while planning out this Let's Play. So, this is a fun experience. Right here, we're being introduced to an interesting landmark. We can see several ruined guardians all over the place. So, it might be a good idea to check out the ruined guardians at Fort Hateno. Ah, this one's alive now! Back to sleep, go back to sleep, go back to sleep. No, back to sleep! I wasn't expecting this one to be awake. I was not expecting this one to be awake. No. What do I want to do? Flame blade. Flame blade. Let's use a flame blade and attack this guardian, and it broke. Alright, note to self. That one is alive. Alright, we got a bunch of ancient springs, ancient screws, but there's one other material that a guardian rune can drop that we have not seen yet. We are definitely going to need it for something coming up pretty soon, but I'm not too worried about it right now. What I would like to do is talk to this person over here, who is sleeping. Wake up, you lazy bum! Hey. I wasn't sleeping. I wasn't! I was praying for the soul of the warrior and all who died here at Fort Hateno. That's a totally different thing. You're welcome to join me if you want. That's a pretty enlightened thing to say for such a young kid. Fort Hateno here was the last line of defense between Hateno Village and the terrible tragedy all those years ago. If not for this fort and the soldiers who held the line here, Hyrule as we know it might be gone entirely. It's our duty as survivors to pray to those who gave their lives, find peace, and to pass on the story of the warrior. Intriguing. And we go over here and there's a log cabin. I wonder if anybody's home. Excuse me. Hello? Is anybody home? Trick or treat? Ah, there is somebody here. When a dark light resides in the cursed statue's eyes, pierce its gaze to purge the seal from the shrine. I'm not wrong, am I? It must be around there. What are you up to? Ah! Let me guess. You caught wind of the great Dr. Calip's groundbreaking research and just had to meet him for yourself. No. Don't tell me you've never heard of me. After I've dedicated my life to research on the ancient shrines. Well, you'd better remember my name, for it's not the last you'll hear of it. And while I'm at it, it's Dr. Calip, if you please. I didn't study my rear end off to be called Mr. Calip. Everyone forgets I'm a doctor for some reason. And since you asked, I'll inform you that I'm engaged in analyzing ancient texts. I haven't time for idle chit-chat. Ancient texts? Soon, my long years of research will be revealed, and all the world will hail it as the discovery of the century. To prevent any undue attention, I haven't even told my family about my work. You understand, sir? Of course, Dr. Calip. Doctor? Did I just hear you call me doctor? As in, not merely Calip, but Dr. Calip? It rolled off your tongue so naturally. It was downright salvery. This changes things. Very well, then. I'm feeling charitable, so I'll let a few things spill. This is just between you and us, understand? When a dark light resides in the cursed statue's eyes, it pierces its gaze and to purge the seal from the shrine. I'm still in the process of deciphering that one, so I don't suppose there's any harm in sharing it with you. That's my life in a nutshell. Days filled with researching shrines and nights spent studying ancient texts. That leaves no time to converse with passing strangers, so farewell. And we get a shrine quest. We haven't quite seen something like this just yet, but there's a very specific reason why I wanted to do this one first. It's on the path to Hateno Village anyway, so we might as well take care of it now. And there's a book over here we can check out. There's a worn-looking book here. Would you like to read it? When a dark light resides in the cursed statue's eyes, pierce its gaze to purge the seal from the shrine. I wonder whether I heard that before. So there's not much we can do right now, so I'm gonna take a little nap until morning. It's close, it has to be. Dawn is starting to break. Time for another day of field research. It's almost 6 a.m. Hurry up, old man. Hurry up, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. I will blow up your house. Whee! At 6 o'clock a.m., Dr. Calip will run out of his log cabin and will start heading in a certain direction. So let's see if you have anything to say, buddy. You again? What now? When you tag along with my field work? Well, I suppose it might do you some good to see an expert at work, so try and stay out of my way. You mean like this? Whee! Alright, so it's gonna take a little while for him to reach his destination, so we're gonna be there on horseback, because I feel like being epic. Lead the way, Dr. Calip! You're so slow! Move it! 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 You like to move it, move it. You like to move it, move it. We like to move it. You came all this way for a hearty radish? No, I'm just kidding. When a dark light resides in the cursed statue's eyes, pierce it. You've said this like 5 times! I've been pondering the dark light mentioned here for some time, and I must admit I'm stumped. Light can't be dark, obviously, unless... Whoops! Can't go divulging my research before I publish now, can I? So... as hard as we can look during the day, there's nothing for us here right now. But, luckily for us, we have the power to... burn things and make it nighttime! Yay! See, being a pyromaniac has its benefits. Now that we're here at nighttime, you may notice that Dr. Calip is nowhere to be found. He always leaves this place at nighttime, never really studying it outside of daylight hours. So we go for... Ah! Fairy! Ah, no, 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 no! Fairy, come back, be my friend! There was a fairy right there! Okay. Fairies, they are a convention in the Zelda series that they kept for Breath of the Wild. Basically how they work is that when you die, they will refill your heart, which is very, very useful. However, they are a lot harder to catch in this game. You definitely need to earn them in Breath of the Wild rather than them just appearing everywhere. So here at nighttime, there's a statue that's purple in their eyes. Let's shoot it! I broke it.
To you, search food in the shrine. I am Urog. In the name of Goddess Hylia, I offer this trial. Trial of passage. Come, Urog shrine. Urog. However you pronounce that. It still sounds like a sneeze.
And welcome to this brand new shiny dungeon. This is the Trail of Passage. Basically how this one is going to work, if I can pull up my notes. Oh no, it's okay. Hooray for editing. Alright, so sorry about that jump cut. I had my notes organized a bit weird, so it took a moment to find the information about this dungeon. But this is the Trail of Passage. Owie! Rude! Spiky balls are not invited to my birthday party. Basically how this shrine is going to work is that it's going to be on a constant rotation. But that means everything else is also going to be in motion as well, including those giant spiky balls. And as you may or may not know from physics class or whatever, spiky things tend to hurt when you touch them, so definitely don't do that. It's not very good for the skin. It may seem very tempting at first, but trust me, it's not worth it. So we go over here. There's a treasure chest on the ceiling, and I want to collect it because it's shiny. And there's another one over here. Let's open up this one and get Opal! It's still really fun to say. I don't know what it is about Opal in particular, but Opal is just really fun. I'm really surprised they haven't made a Pokemon game called Pokemon Opal. Anyway, we go over here and open up our next treasure chest to gain access to a soldier spear, but the inventory is full. What can we get rid of? I don't want to get rid of my tree branch because it's very, very valuable. We don't need 2 buckle clubs. Let's open up this one again, and it's a soldier spear? Oh, I always wanted a soldier spear. That is a total surprise. Oh, I'm so happy about that. It is actually a pretty good spear, even though we're going to be coming across ones later in the game that are way better. That's just the natural order of things. If you're intimidated by the speed of the rotation, then you can also fall off onto a platform. You can use stasis on the machine cogs to slow down the rotation of the platform, which is definitely going to be useful for this point, where we're definitely going to need it so we can get over here. We go up here, and now we can unfreeze things. I really do like this puzzle. It's very fun. Even though it's not one of the most complex puzzles to figure out in the game, it's still a really enjoyable one to go through. And now we have to wait for one of those things to rotate around again so that we can finish climbing the stairs. Like I said during the Dueling Peaks Twin Memory Shrines, there's probably some way that you could... What? Wait, what? Oh, it's those things. I was thrown off for a moment because you can use stasis on the laser beam things. That's pretty useful. Probably. Sort of. I'm sure that's useful for some kind of speedrunning tactic out there. I believe there's only 2 treasure chests in this dungeon, so without further ado, let's go over here and talk to the monk. Remember, if you are low on hearts and you're near the end of a shrine, do not use your eating items, because finishing a shrine will always restore your hearts. Huh. The mystery deepens. My only response can be to redouble my efforts, now that the shrine is visible, to solve the mystery at last. And Dr. Gallup will be blissfully unaware that we were the ones who solved the shrine. There's a donkey over here. Aww. Let's go talk to this guy. I grow vegetables in Hateno Village, sell them at Dueling Peak Stable, then use the money to buy meat and head back. So I guess my job is to make sure folks in Hateno Village have full bellies. By the by, how's your belly? I'd love it if you bought something, but I mean, I'm happy just to show what I've got for sale. The rest is up to you. Like I mentioned before in this adventure, whenever you see people like this who are traveling around with the donkeys or just wandering around stables, you can usually buy something from them. However, if they are bought completely on their own, be careful talking to strangers. I'm just gonna say that right now. Stranger danger is very much a thing in the world of Breath of the Wild. So, enough distractions. Now we're making our way over to Hateno Village. The skies are clear, the shrines nearby are completed, the pony is well fed, the capture card is working, the Switch is running the game. Let's continue onwards. So I was intentionally quiet for a moment so we can listen to the horseback music for a bit, but we're gonna go off track for a little bit so that we can take care of the tower of this region. It might be a good idea for us to actually have a map of the area so that we can know where we're going. So this tower is a bit interesting because getting to it is going to be a little bit more of a challenge than what we're used to. That mob legit stand a chance. Well, it's usually supposed to be a good challenge, but yeah, like I said before, the Great Plateau Tower wasn't really that much of a challenge to climb, and the Dueling Peaks one was a little bit hard to go to, but the only real hazard there was the Octoroks that were shooting rocks at us, and of course swimming over towards the tower itself. This one is a little bit more tricky, so you definitely want to be careful with this one because there are enemies nearby who will want to destroy your beautiful face, and you may notice there are thorns everywhere. And now we're at Hateno Tower. So what you can do with this is you can use fire arrows to burn these things. If you're out of fire arrows though, then you can set up fire nearby by striking something with like striking wood or a thing of flint with a metallic object to set a little campfire. There's also a pot over there you can set us on fire as well. Why is my horse running away? Raisin, are you okay? Don't know what that was all about, but it's just kind of funny seeing the AI for the horse kind of go crazy at times. So be careful climbing this tower is basically what I'm trying to say, because these thorns, like I mentioned earlier, if you learned anything from physics class, it's likely the fact that pointy things are pointy, and pointiness usually leads to pain. Everybody write that down, it's going to be on the test. And if you don't remember it, you will fail! One thing that I definitely will say that's a little bit problematic with this game is that it can be a little bit annoying trying to aim your bow and arrow in a tight space like this. So when you're trying to aim really high or really low, it's a little bit problematic, but there really wasn't much that it could do in this department. It's just one thing that I wish was a little bit better. Climb all the way up there again. Game! One other piece of advice I'd like to recommend for those trying to climb onto this tower is you can also set flame the thorns at the very base of the tower as well, and use the updraft to fly a little bit higher. This won't get you very far, unfortunately, though, so you're better off just burning all the thorns. So basically, just bring as many flame arrows as humanly possible. Chances are you're more than likely going to find at least some kind of arrow from one of the merchants at the Dueling Peaks region or in Kakariko Village. That might be the better option. But now we've finally made it to the top. Let's activate the Sheikah Slate. Have I mentioned how massive this game's world is? That tiny chunk of land on the far left of the map was the Great Plateau. And then we got a little bit more with the Dueling Peaks. This area is bigger than the Dueling Peaks region. This game is insane with how massive it is. I am so glad that it is sunny when we're up here. A big reason why I wanted to go for that shrine quest was because it seemed like on every playthrough of this episode that I went through, it was always raining when I was over here. So I'm really glad that it's bright and sunny, because just look at that view. We can see a beautiful waterfall over there. We can see these mountains, and the volcano's still way off in the distance. We can see another waterfall over there. I believe we could see Kakariko Village somewhere around here, maybe, sort of, kind of, perhaps. Ice the mountains surrounding Kakariko Village. If you want an idea for just how far we've gone in our adventure, then just look over here. Those mountains over there, those are the Dueling Peaks. And this right here is where we started in this episode. And where we start on our adventure is somewhere beyond those mountains. This game's massive. I always love coming to the top of the tower to see just what kind of stuff we can explore. But there's one place that we definitely want to go visit. So let's not waste any more time. Let's get this started. Whee! Last minute save! We were a pixel away from landing on a thorn bush. I am so glad that didn't happen. Let's head over here, and we're gonna ignore fighting. Okay, I was just gonna say we're gonna ignore fighting you and hope you learned a lesson, but no. You just had to hurt the pony. You can hurt me, but you cannot hurt the pony! Aha, now we got your fang and your horn. Fang and horn sounds like a Xenoblade store. Where's my pony? Oh, hello. Magical mountain pony. Be careful going off this. Like I said before, you can hold on to the ZL button to make your horse go across the steep cliffs like that. Although you definitely want to be careful with that, because your horse can actually die. And more often than not, the cause of a horse's death, it usually boils down to them falling off a steep cliff. Not a very pleasant way to go. I'm just gonna say that right now. Let's continue on over here. We can see our objective way off over there. I'm really glad that our pony didn't run into the rocks like a moron. Remember, no pony wants to be a Waffles. We've almost arrived at our destination. We definitely want to keep an eye out for this area, because there's going to be some bokoblins wandering around in this forest. Then they look like they're going to be picking on this poor little pig. And then we defeated it. Oh, shall fear me. Ah! Alright. Okay, that over there. There are people who need our help. Let's call their attention. Oh, man. But they were barely in the area and they were already knocked out. Are you kidding me, game? Alright, so is there another one around here? I'm pretty sure there's 2 people in this group. Okay, she's waking up. Alright, there was another bokoblin. Alright, let's take care of you. And you're defeated. Hurrah. I'd say I don't know what would have happened to me without you, but I'm pretty sure I do, and I'm glad I didn't. Oh, okay, so I was pretty sure we wouldn't get this because she got knocked out, but I guess we're gonna get a reward anyway. Yay! It was my sister's harebrained idea to hunt for truffles here that got us into this mess. We're traveling all over to find hardy truffles. I know, it's dangerous for 2 folks to travel out there on these days. You don't have to tell me twice. But when I think about how wonderful those truffles taste, all the worries and warnings melt away. That is how I feel about eggnog. Hardy truffles aren't your run-of-the-mill mushrooms you find growing on the half of the trees in the forest. They're a gourmet treat that soothes your fatigue and brings you back up to tip-top shape. I know that's dangerous for the 2 of us to be out here without protection. We've been in our share of scrapes. But there's no reward without risk, right? Try not to make it sound so much like we only care about the money. It's not worth anything if we don't make it back home to spend it, you know. It'll be fine. Either we get a little practice fighting, or we find more hardy truffles. Win-win, right? You are going to be the death of me. I love these 2 characters. Of all the people we've come across who needed help from bokoblins, these 2 are definitely my favorite. They're just so fun. Now that we've saved them, no more distractions, because the town is just up ahead. Reason!
Real horses don't run into trees very often.
It was up there! It would have been such a graceful entrance into a new town, but no. You just had to run your head into a rock. common complaint that people have against Breath of the Wild is the fact that the music doesn't seem quite as memorable as previous Zelda games. For the most part, I agree with this. And this was a complaint that I was starting to have at this point in my adventure, my first playthrough, where I was thinking, oh, this game is really, really fun so far, but none of the music has really stood out to me. And then I walk through Hateno Village, and it just blows my mind. This is my second favorite song in Breath of the Wild. It's still true that a majority of the soundtrack in this game just isn't quite as memorable as previous Zelda games, but when it gets good, it is good. I love the music in this game. Hateno Ancient Technab, no soliciting! Hateno Ancient Tech Lab. Mind the lanterns. Hateno Ancient Tech Lab. Enter at your own risk. That sounds dangerous. I like it. And now we finally arrived at the Hateno Tech Lab. But we're going to save going inside for the next episode of The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. So your options for where to go next, to go into the next video on the playlist where we'll be entering the Hateno Ancient Tech Lab, or you can explore the region and check out some of the side quests that are available in Hateno Village. If you want, you can also look for Korok seeds in this region as well, although I will say right now, if you're watching this Let's Play when it's brand new, this might not be available for a little while, because it took 3 hours in total to record the footage for the Doing Peaks region, and there are 10 more Korok seeds located across the Hateno region. So yeah, it's gonna take a little while before we can actually do that. If you want to ignore all of that, you can go straight for the finale of the Let's Play and go hunt down Calamity Ganon right now. Thank you all so much for watching this episode of The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. I believe the gear to you, and where would you like to go to next?